We wanted to welcome you here tonight for a public workshop related to the Whole Foods development and Leroy extension. And tonight I wanted to let you know that Commissioner Steve Leary is here. There are representatives of the developer. There are representatives of the city, representatives of DOT, and anyone else that I forgot, and the school board as well. And so tonight, the developer is going to make a presentation. He's going to make the same presentation 3 times, one now and then 2 other times later in the night. And with this forum, it's meant, for you to listen to the presentation, be able to look at the boards, ask anyone questions that you'd like, and then write a comment and put it in the comment box on the back of the room. And so, this same presentation will be given 2 more times tonight. And with that, I wanted to welcome Heather Hines. She is with the development team.
She's with the law firm, right?
Yes, I'll introduce myself. My name is Heather Hines, and I'm with the law firm of Ackerman LLP here in Orlando. And we represent the developer of the property, UP Development. UP, if you're not familiar with them, is a premier retail developer that's out of Franklin, Tennessee. They predominantly own and operate sites in the southeastern United States. They have over 20 years of experience and over 2 million square feet of retail projects currently underway in that area. In the Orlando market, UP is redeveloping the Fashion Square Mall. You may have seen that in the news recently. They are redeveloping a portion of the West Town Center project in Altamont Springs, and they have been developing the Shops at Althea Trail in Waterford Lakes. UP has successfully designed, permanent, and developed retail centers anchored by national retailers that you are familiar with, such as Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Publix, Bays R Us, Dick's Sporting Goods, and we have a couple representatives from UP Development here this evening, and other members of our development team. We try to all put on name tags so that you can easily identify us, not throw things at us, but identify us, and ask questions of us after the presentation, and you've had a chance to look at the boards with the various development site proposals and proposed alignments of Lee Road extension. The project that UP is proposing at this site, which is at the intersection of Lee Road and 1792, is in the city of Winter Park. It is slated for commercial and retail use, consisting of a large primary store, which is a Whole Foods, as well as a couple of smaller outlots that can be used for retail or restaurant use, and a bank with a drive-through, as well as 2 other anchor stores retail on the northern portions of the site. In the process of preparing our application for redevelopment of this site, it became very apparent that we needed to focus on the intersection there at Lee Road to try to improve the existing conditions there. Since those roads are the jurisdiction of the Florida Department of Transportation, we first went to them to discuss the options and alternatives that they had already looked at. As you may be aware, back in 2004, FDOT, in conjunction with the city, held several public workshops and conducted what's called a PD&E study to look at different alternatives for this area. The option number, alignment B over there, is the preferred alignment that came out of that study. It has become aware to us through other meetings with the city staff and individuals in the community that there are a lot of concerns with cut-through traffic and other traffic concerns that they wanted us to look at. So when we did our traffic study for the project and knew that we needed to look at bringing Lee Road through past our project site, we came up with alignment A over there, which would be a straight through Lee Road extension and would allow only a right turn. It has a pork chop type thing right there at the intersection of Downey Road and allows only a right turn to go south toward The alignment B from the PD&E study allows full traffic in all directions. The road kind of veers up to the north and is at the intersection of all 5 of those roads, I believe it is, right there, Solana, Railroad, Lee Road, and Denby Drive, 4 roads. So we thought that this option provided a better alternative that addressed some of the concerns that we were hearing from the community and from city staff. Then we continued to meet with FDOT and the city staff, and in one of those meetings, a third alternative was presented that seemed like a great alternative because we were still hearing some concerns about cut-through traffic, even with the right turn only option at Denny. And so alternative C was developed, which you can see even across the board on that board. The Lee Road extension would come through and it made a sharp, not really sharp, kind of a curved turn to the south and bring the road down to a new intersection at Webster. Currently, the traffic does not show that that would need to be signalized, but it certainly would be evaluated and continue to be looked at to see if a signal would be warranted at some point in the future. Again, both of those alignments would also address some of the concerns at 1792 in Webster that have been an ongoing concern of FDOT, where there is a backup, and you can see it on some of the traffic video over here that the city took the other night, where the traffic trying to come south on 1792 and turn left onto Webster Road gets extremely backed up. So both of those 2 alternatives would eliminate that left turn option altogether. So you wouldn't be able to turn left at Webster Road from 1792. You would have to go through on the Lee Road extension and use this alternate route. We believe that each of these alternatives would help alleviate some of the current existing conditions and resolve the congestion on 1792 and at the intersection of Lee Road. Each alignment, I'm sure that you can all look at them, they all have pros and cons, and we are here tonight to get your input on those various alternatives, not in this public setting, we're not doing like a Q&A, but what the city has requested that we do is ask you all to meet with developer representatives, ask your questions to us. We'll be taking notes and writing those kinds of things down. Or better yet, to provide written comment on the forms that are provided at the back of the room, where there's space for you to put your contact information. If you want one of us to reach out to you and follow up, we're happy to do so. The developer representatives that we have here this evening, and I'm just going to ask them to raise their hands so you can see who they are. And if you have questions, you can kind of locate them as soon as this presentation concludes. But we have Scott Fish and Jim Tuffy with UP Development, in the back. And then we have Muhammad Abdallah with Traffic and Mobility Consultants. He's a traffic consultant. And we have Bob Lockring and Jason Mahoney with Lockring Engineering, for the engineers. And I thought we were going for architect, but she's not here tonight, right? Okay. So this concludes the formal portion of the presentation. The whole purpose of this evening was to present these 3 alternatives to you and to allow you to look at the boards, to ask questions of our team and of the city staff, and to give you an opportunity to give us your comments and feedback so that we can take that back as a team and discuss with the city staff before the public hearings on our actual site plan application later in May and June. So thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you.
So this is an opportunity to speak to the developers, not to the city?
The city is here as well, and you're welcome to contact any of them. The city staff would like to raise their hands.
And why aren't we being allowed to ask questions so our neighbors can hear what other neighbors' questions are? It seems like a very unusual format.
This is not a public hearing format. This is a work session and a question and answer period at the time when you're looking at the boards and looking at the alternatives.
I submit it's a sham. Could I please bring something to the city representatives? City Wind Park? Anybody who's here? Yeah, just take this on.
I understand it's not a public meeting, but it would seem that there would be great benefit from all of us hearing the good questions that our neighbors have here and some of the answers from the developers, how that's a working session, that's a question and answer session, which is the reason all of us came here tonight.
Correct.
Great, yes.
Anyone want to take questions? Anybody brave enough?
Where's our leaders? Where's the developer? I'd like to hear from you. Anyone?
Does anyone have anything else to say? Besides the neighbors?
Yeah.
Anyone involved?
This is not a deal, we're here just to be here, because we went through this 10 years ago, and it was knocked down. Why are we here? Why do we have to bring 1792 to Denny? We're a residential area, we're not a commercial area. We have kids playing in the street, we have kids playing basketball and skateboards. We're going to bring so much traffic into our area that it's shameful, and I think this whole thing is shameful.
What area do you live in, ma'am?
We live on Diana Drive, which is off of, and then at Sunnyside, Denny becomes Sunnyside, and we live one street parallel to Sunnyside.
Okay. Well, let me talk. And, I'm with the city. I'm not a part of the development team. But if you view the problems on 1792, the majority of the backup that occurs at Lee Road and Webster Avenue is due to left-hand turning vehicles trying to make that dogleg. So there's people that come from the west that want to go to the east down Webster. They're coming, eastward on Lee Road. They make a right-hand turn on 1792, and then they make a left-hand turn on Webster. Okay? Because of those two T intersections being offset, there is a lot of congestion that occurs between those two intersections. And when I say the left-hand turning vehicles, there's not enough left-hand turning storage to accommodate those vehicles. And so what happens is they back up and they create a situation where two through lanes actually become one through lane. So you essentially take 1792 and make it a one-lane road in each direction, which if we were to have a construction project on 1792 at 5 o'clock and you were to block a lane in each direction because of construction, you know what kind of backup that would be. I know. That's what we're trying to solve. That's what we're trying to resolve. And so, ma'am, let me finish.
There's still other
Okay.
traffic, that traffic is going to go somewhere, it'll back up
Okay.
on another corner or another corner.
So what the objectives are with the extension is to allow those turning vehicles where there's no storage, is to allow those vehicles to not get on 1792 at all. Okay? So if we can take those vehicles and not have them get on 1792, 1792 will flow much better, and the vehicles can continue to go where they're going now, which is eastward on Webster. So that's the reason for the extension. Now, with the extension, there's three different alternatives that are presented. Okay? One actually curves to the northward and intersects at the Solana-Denny intersection. Okay? One actually comes straight across, which is further south, and ends up at the Harbor Street-Denny intersection. And then one actually curves southward and intersects Webster, which is where the cars are going now. And, after looking at all of the situation, out of all of the scenarios, we feel like, and the DOT feels like, there's definitely a problem on 1792 because of those left-turning vehicles. The only way to solve that problem is to create more storage for left-turning vehicles on 1792, or to get those cars off of 1792. And so that's the whole reason for the extension. We feel like that if the extension goes and it connects down to Webster Avenue, that's where the cars are going anyway. There's not any advantage to drive up to North Park Avenue or to go to Palmer or to drive into your neighborhood. So that's the reason why, the city is supporting the alternate, I'm not sure what number it is, the alternate C, which curves down to Webster Avenue.
Question. In this traffic study, did they determine where the bulk of those cars are going once they turn onto Webster? Are they all going to Park Avenue? Are they all going to their little houses back there? Is it Cut-Thru? Do we know where they're going?
That was not a part of the traffic study. Well, listen, they're going there now. They're going there now. So, if you don't want to have cars go to Park Avenue, then, you can.
I just meant that might,
Yes, ma'am.
Don't cities sometimes decide that building all these wonderful things are too much for the area?
I'm not going to comment on the development. I mean, the development stands on its own, and I'm going to let the developers answer that.
Who allows that?
The city,
property to be so built up.
well, there's a code that defines what can be done on property. And the city, creates the code, and the city enforces the code, and, this project will be adopted or will be heard by the city commission as well as the planning and zoning commission.
Won't they have to add a light where on 1792 on Lee Road, now where we go straight through towards Maitland?
There will be an additional leg to that
They have to put a
intersection.
light there, because now you're gonna have to stop all those lanes. They don't have a light there now, there's traffic goes right through. There's gonna be another light there.
That's correct.
Right there.
Well, if you look at how it functions in the field, there's really only one lane that can get through there when it's highly congested. And so that intersection has been modeled, and the advantage of having those left-turning vehicles go straight on Lee Road is more advantageous than having that additional, stop situation for that one through leg.
Have you ever seen anyone has a traffic study done coming in on Webster, going north or south on Park, and has that been done? Or is the city planning to have that done? So if you do plan C, how are we gonna know which way it affects Park Avenue?
Well, I can assure you that we will monitor Park Avenue. We're doing some counts now. We have historic counts. We will continue to monitor Park Avenue. But in our opinion, there's not an advantage for anyone who would be coming east on Lee Road and then turning south onto Webster. There's no advantage to get to Park Avenue. And if they want to get to Park Avenue, they're going to be doing it now. So, creating that extension that goes and curves down to Webster creates no advantage over what you can do now. So that's why we feel that there would not be an impact on Park Avenue.
You won't know until you do the study.
The developer can address that particular item.
Why do we need another supermarket? Why do we need another cruise there? We have so many
I'm not going to address items related to the development. Any other traffic questions? Yes.
In all the video that you've shown here, the traffic backup that I see is not south on 1792, it's actually north on 1792 going west. Trying to turn onto Lee Road going west, and that's, if you look at the video, you can see that the traffic backed up.
If you go in the morning, it's the opposite. And we did this at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We didn't take any morning shots. But even if that were the problem, by eliminating that and creating more left-hand turn storage, it'll help in both directions.
With the traffic, you're talking about backup. If you come off of Lee Road and you're gonna go to west, you're gonna back up west traffic. And then the traffic gonna try to make them shortcut, so then they gonna go into the neighborhood. And then you're gonna have traffic flow anywhere and everywhere from there. When traffic going to Maitland is back up, it's getting back up more than it's going up towards Macon than it does coming down 1792.
Okay.
It's just messing up the neighborhood.
Let me address something about congestion. One of the reasons why you have traffic driving through neighborhoods instead of on the main line is because the main line is congested. Okay? If you can uncongest the main line, it's very probable that your cut-through traffic will actually decrease. And so, that it's kind of, something you have to sit and think about. But, the main reason why people drive down, through neighborhoods is because the main road that they're supposed to be driving on doesn't move very quickly. And they feel like they can move quicker through the neighborhoods. Our attempt here is to try and get the main line to function better, thus reducing the probability or the desire to drive through the neighborhood.
In your traffic study,
How come what part don't have any one-way street? We never eliminate them.
One-way streets can work in certain instances, but then they can also be very confusing in other instances. Our comp plan actually does not encourage one-way streets.
was any consideration given to the Ramadas additional traffic in your traffic studies? Or was that ignored again?
We did not do a traffic study that looked at numbers. So we basically,
How do you not do a traffic study?
you can talk to the developer about the numbers for his project and his surrounding projects. Yes, ma'am.
I actually think that may have just answered my question, because I was going to tell you that Plan C is actually, since I come down Lee Road so much, it's a viable option, because that little turn to get onto Webster is difficult. But if you have not accounted for putting a multi-million-dollar development there with additional tons of parking, then I don't see how that's a benefit, because you're not alleviating the problem. You're actually adding more congestion with the shopping plaza being right there. But you didn't do the numbers, so. No offense.
There was a problem on 1792 at 436, and they chose to make a flyover 1792 and go further. Now, we have a problem of congestion at our place on 1792. Why are we not even thinking about a flyover?
It's hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. So,
I have a question. We're here tonight, and I'm not quite sure why. You've given us the opportunity to come and to speak, but are any of our comments going to make any difference at all? Or is this cut-through already determined, and we are here just to loosen our voices? Because
Well,
I feel like it's already a done deal.
the cut-through is going to be heard by the city commission. There's a workshop with the city commission on May 5th. And then at that time, the city commission will determine when or if they want it to be brought back to them. The extension will not happen unless the city commission approves it.
Even with the FDOT involved?
Well, that's another story. I mean, it is on the FDOT list to be constructed sometime in the future. So,
And if the developer pays the FDOT the money to have it put through, then is it the FDOT, is it the state's decision at that point? And not the city's?
we feel that if the city did not want it, that the FDOT would most likely not push the issue.
Even with the developer funding it?
Well, yes.
How many homes will be destroyed?
What's that?
How many homes will be destroyed?
There will be no homes displaced or destroyed. Wait, one at a time. Dan?
I was just saying, this is going to cut through beyond the school area.
Yes. And there, the school board would have to be a player in this. They would have to agree to give up some of their land for any of these options to occur. Wait, let me get this one.
Is the decision going to be made by the citizens of Winter Park? Are we going to be able to go to referendum and vote on this? Or is it going to be made by the commission? I wasn't real clear on what we were asking. What you said.
At this point, the commission is going to make that decision.
And I also don't understand how you can say that cut-through traffic on Webster isn't going to affect Park Avenue, because the luncheon I live off of Denton, south of where this is going to be, and cut-through traffic is going to can go directly across Webster and right onto North Park Avenue. So how could it not affect the rest of North Park Avenue or any other avenue and the west off of Webster? It'll affect all of that off of Webster. It'll affect commerce. It'll affect people that go all the way up to Lakefront. The vision is very narrow.
I disagree. Not everybody agrees with these opinions. I disagree.
I think the traffic's already going that way, so, I mean, it's just getting there, takes longer to get there, but my question is, there are 5, you said there's no houses being displaced, and you're accurate. There's 5 houses on Cherokee, where Cherokee used to be, and where Lee Road may in the future be, that are now going to have sort of a main cut-through right in front of their house, and as well as Whole Foods and all this other stuff building up all around them like that. What consideration, if any, is going to be given to those homes where it used to be a nice office building is now going to be busy retail?
Well, as far as as far as what the developer's doing to not impact from a development standpoint, I can't answer that. As far as a traffic standpoint, one of the things that we liked about Alternative C was that it actually did not connect to Cherokee. So Cherokee would remain a dead end as it is now. Alternatives A and B do use the Cherokee right-of-way as part of the Lee Road extension. Yes.
My question is in 2 parts. I live in Maitland. Do we have a representative here anywhere from Maitland, or have we been left out? We have a lot of people in Winter Park, and you want to run these things through Maitland. What about us? Anybody here to speak for us?
There's no one from Maitland here to my knowledge.
Next question. When we dump all this traffic on Denny, it's going to go north. Everyone's going to find out that's a quick way to go. And you're going to end up crossing Park Avenue, getting on Sunnyside Drive, a narrow road, parking on both sides. Then it comes out by a school, and you're just going to put a whole river of traffic down a little narrow road that you couldn't begin to take care of it. And you have to this way you go back on the 1790, there's a school there with real small children in it, and there's no place for that kind of traffic at all. You're just going to cause some deaths. Who's going to die if you do that?
Okay. Well, that's why we like the option that extends the extension down to Webster Avenue. So we're not connecting to Denny.
Says there you're going on Denny.
Option C connects down to Webster Avenue, it does not connect to Denny.
We get to vote for the options here.
Yes. You can write whatever comment you want to write.
This is what the gentleman from Maitland said. I'm sure you're aware that Denny becomes Sunnyside, and then Magnolia goes across. There's the Park Maitland School and the Entheon that would be impacted on there.
Okay. Our opinion is, if you wanted to get on Denny to drive that route, you that now. You can drive Lee Road, you can turn right on 1792, you can turn left on Webster, and you can go to Denny, and then you can turn left and drive that route. If you look at extension C, it basically comes down and points you right back on Webster. So our opinion is there's no difference, there's no advantage of after the extension of anyone wanting to drive north onto Sunnyside.
You jumping off on Webster, where you want to drive in from Webster when you're trying to go north.
You would be going wherever you're going now on Webster.
They're going to be more traffic. I did go back up into the back.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were discussing alternative C, that would be for people going east on Lee Road and then going to Morse on Webster on alternative C. What about the people who are going west on Lee Road? Wouldn't they still have to go to 1792 and then make a left in that intersection of Lee Road and 1792?
They could do two options. They could go Webster and turn right on 1792 and then left on Lee, or they could turn right on Lee Road Extension and curve around and go straight and cross 1792. All right, I want to encourage you to come and ask us questions, ask the developer questions. The developer's traffic engineer, Mohammed, raise your hand. He can tell you all about the numbers, the trip generations related to the actual development itself. Thank you.
This is part of it. The school board owns all of this and all of this. This is where they put their bus stations, isn't it? It's up here, back here.
Oh, yeah, because I keep forgetting that this is Denny.
And our client actually owns all of this property. All of this. And we're,
So they need the school to give you that.
the road, that would be part of the road right away. This is stormwater for this portion of the roadway.
So what, and they're,
The school, this is all from the school.
so what do they talk about this here? Why do they talk about no light here?
Because the signal warrant analysis right now, FDOT will only allow you to put a traffic signal at an intersection when it meets certain warrants. And currently, the studies aren't showing that a signal is warranted there, but they're probably going to put some kind of condition in there that would require us to continue to monitor.
Provides no circulation. Your traffic's already coming here and going here, and they're filtering their way through real quick. This fixes a bigger problem here, which is this flyby in this intersection. This can absolutely enhance what's already going on. So these people cutting back down this alternative route. So between DOT and the city of Winter Park, and us as the developer of Whole Foods here, if you look at the placement of Whole Foods, this median right? And so we want the people not to be picked up onto 1792. We want good circulation and stacking so we can turn into dispersals to the right.
I can't get out my street.
Going north or going to the south?
Anywhere you go.